Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Millennial Smark, and I'm back at it again with another video. I don't know why. Like, why even attempt to keep trying to spin AEW in regards to their current standing in professional wrestling as a good thing? Now, I will say this was smart. This was absolutely a smart idea. I'll tell you this much. Now, I haven't seen any articles written in regards to how many tickets were sold prior to this decision being made, but just looking at context, they can spend this as much as they want as far as a positive. This is a negative as far as an image is considered. It's a smart idea, and it's something that they should keep doing going forward until they can find their footing again. But as far as the optics are considered, yeah, this is absolutely a negative, especially when you hear people talk about NXT and their attendance and all that other kind of stuff. And again, it's this whole thing that they have to use in order to cope when they have to consistently have to put AEW on par with NXT while at the same time using NXT as like the entire argument in regards to the standing of WWE versus AEW. So here, check this out. Link is down in the description box below. Hang on for a second. We'll also talk about the viewership number to kind of conflate all this all together in regards to what I'm saying right now as far as a overall narrative, right? But we'll kick it off with this. AEW moves December edition of Collision to GalaxyCon convention. AEW is moving venues but remaining in the same city for their Saturday, December 7th edition of Collision. Announced on Thursday by the promotion, that night's Collision will be moving from the 20,000 seat nationwide arena in Columbus, Ohio to the Greater Columbus Convention Center as part of the GalaxyCon convention that is being held in the city. Tickets will go on sale this Saturday, and capacity for specific setup they will use at the 1.8 million square foot facility is unknown. It's also earlier in the day, the nationwide arena announced that Collision was canceled with no further information. It's unknown why the move was made and if ticket sales had something to do with it. Any tickets purchased for the original venue will be refunded. AEW has minimal December TV dates announced for the final month of the year, with just 4 events on the schedule through Saturday, December 12th, leaving the week of December 16th and December 23rd in question. And essentially, they're just going on about stuff that I kind of find irrelevant to what I'm discussing right now at the moment. But don't let that number fool you. When they say 1.8 million square feet, just because it's a big number, it doesn't really paint out how much capacity is the attendance in regards to the arena in itself. Now, I've read some Twitter posts, and I heard people suggest that it's around 5,000 seats. I heard one Twitter user reflect off of WWE and WCW being in a similar arena prior to 1998, and he said it was 5,000 seats. Now, obviously, at that time, we're talking about nearly 30 years ago, that's going to be different compared to today. And when I looked up the arena seating capacity, I've seen 2 websites suggest that it was either 7,200, and then I heard one say it was 7,500, right? So let's just say, for argument's sake, it's over 7,000 seats. We're talking about a reduction of nearly, I want to say 1/3? Right, 2/3. I apologize. Nearly 2/3 of the capacity as to where you were originally. You were in a different arena that sits 20,000 seats, and now you're in an arena that, again, for argument's sake, I'm not really sure as far as the capacity is considered, is supposedly sitting about 7,000 people, right? That's 2/3 of your audience completely vanishing, right? And like the article stated, and I can't find anything corroborating this in regards to as to why they did it, but it seems like, because I wouldn't see any reasoning as to why you would do this. More money is still more money. People are arguing, oh, this is a great move because stylistically it looks so much better in the arena, which they're not wrong. They're absolutely right. It looks so much better on TV. And like I said, it's not a bad decision to make, especially for something like Collision and the brand, considering how weak it's been since its inception. It's not a bad idea. Obviously, I root for them to do this, and honestly, they should do this for Dynamite too going forward and stop pretending that they're on par with WWE, or for that matter, not even on par with WWE, but just being a bigger brand as what people are making it out to be. You are, in the end of the day, no matter how much people hate to hear it, you are a high budgeted, high functioning indie promotion. That's all that you are, and you need to stop pretending as if you're more than what you really are. Just for the benefit of your superstars, for the benefit of optics. Obviously, this is what you will want to do, but it still has to be noted that for the people who are out there constantly shilling for AEW in regards to trying to project this effect that the company has on mainstream professional wrestling, well, from what I'm seeing, you just went from one arena that was bigger to another arena that's smaller. And mind you, obviously, this is Collision in the end of the day, right? So what does Collision have to do with the overall look, right? The title is AEW Is Cooked. What does Collision have to do? We all understand that Collision, in the end of the day, it sucks. I'm not talking about the wrestling in itself, although you can make an argument for that also, but just on a numeric metric basis, it sucks. It's not doing anything for the company. Not to mention, you can make another argument that one may assume that Tony Khan didn't want this. He knew how this will look going forward, especially when Collision, for the most part, was built on the back of CM Punk, and he's no longer there anymore, right? So you can make another argument out of that. Bryan Danielson, no longer there also. Although you can make an argument he never made an impact on the brand in itself either. Edge, also no longer there. All these guys are either retired and another company, or they're injured. And I should say semi-retired, but still, my point still stands. But that's not the only argument as to why AEW is in the state that it's in. Right? So Collision is showing evidence of how much is faltering at the moment. And then you also want to combine that with the viewership numbers. I can't remember the last time Collision has done over 500,000 views. Mind you, they're on the sister network with AEW. I can't remember the last time they've done over 500,000 views. You tell me. I don't know. Where's Rampage right now? I heard that Rampage is on the brink of being canceled. Look at the viewership number. Let's talk about that now, right? Because that's the only segue we should go to in order to at least bring Dynamite into the equation also. Let's look at that real quick. Link is down in the description box below. WrestleNomics has the ratings and viewership numbers for last night's edition of AEW Dynamite. Dynamite managed to recover some of its numbers after a 28% drop in viewership last week when Dynamite once again went head-to-head against WWE NXT. NXT was moved to Wednesday last week due to the presidential election coverage and aired a special ECW-themed edition of the show at the former ECW Arena in Philadelphia. AEW Dynamite drew a 27% increase in viewership this week, averaging 666,000 viewers. Viewership increased by 143,000 viewers from last week's audience of 523,000 views against NXT, which, by the way, NXT won that war last week. If you would, war, I put in quotations, but you get what I'm trying to say. Ratings also increased in the key demographic, the 18 to 49, for the live TBS broadcast. Dynamite finished with an average 0.22 rating. The rating increased from the 0.16 rating in the same key demographic for last week. Dynamite finished number 5 in cable primetime rankings for Thursday. The NBA game featuring the Pelicans versus Thunder on ESPN finished number 1 for the night with a 0.34 rating. FNC's primetime programming took the number 2 to 4 slots at 0.28, 0.27, and 0.22 respectively, right? Now, I want to go to a couple of tweets, obviously from my good old friend Dave Meltzer, right? Dave Meltzer, let's go straight to the ratings because he actually tried his best to spin the arena stuff also. There's only so much you can do from that because obviously, like I said, the appearance, you can clearly see that the arena, as far as you were in originally, was bigger and you went down. There's no way to explain that outside of ticket sales failing, but just to be fair, just to be charitable, we don't have the reasoning as to why that actually occurred. even though it's pretty fucking obvious. But I digress though. Dave tried to whitewash this. He suggested AEW did 666,000 views. Okay, beat everything on cable but NBA and Fox News. Meaning they didn't beat everything on cable, but you had to say beat everything on cable because that's, Dave Meltzer he's a propagandist, right? When it comes to AEW. He goes on, and some people question, what he said. Obviously, some people he quote tweeted, beat everything on cable, and Warner Brothers Discovery was scammed. This is what one of the people on the Twitter thread was saying. Dave responded with, if they get this number for the next 3 years, they're likely getting a much bigger deal next time. But like almost everything on cable, it'll likely drop because that's what TV is doing. But they can go forever with that number. Another person says, and I quote, Dave, how did you feel about the way AEW promoted Moxley seizing Superstation TBS compared to how it played out? Dave said, and mind you, this is in conflation with the number, I was thinking more about the crowd reactions than anything else, but bad TV reacting crowd for sure. Well, is it really a bad TV reacting crowd, Dave? Or is it just they didn't get what was promoted that was going to occur? See, I didn't talk about this last night because honestly, I didn't even see the graphic suggesting that Jon Moxley was supposed to take over the Superstation in TBS. Or maybe I did and it was just out of my mind. I don't know. But if that was what they were promoting, and for the most part, I didn't see any evidence of Jon Moxley touching on any of this, then, well, I mean, didn't you just kind of false advertise? Right? Right, you said that this was going to occur. Maybe you put it out earlier in the day. And who's to suggest that that didn't do enough for the viewership to go up substantially just because they thought that was going to actually happen on the show and you didn't do it? Very similar to the finger poke of doom. Not obviously in effect, but obviously in the sense that you falsely booked something. You said this was going to occur and it didn't occur. Right? But going on, okay, one person said, it's all about being first on cable, to be honest. Dave says they weren't first. Yeah, no shit. But you said they beat everything in cable. And then you gave a caveat by suggesting that, oh, wait, not everything. When in reality, they didn't beat everything, but you said everything. That's the point of what the person was saying. Another person said they didn't beat everything on cable. Obviously, Dave Meltzer responds to that by suggesting they weren't going to beat the NBA or Fox News. But you said everything on cable. Because again, it's just propaganda work, man. It's propagandist working, bruh. And you can go on and on and on and just look at all the stuff that Dave Meltzer, he is coping super duper hard in regards to this. And it's just what it is. It is what it is. They didn't beat everything on cable. They got 666,000. There are people who are reflecting off of this. I've seen so many people from the AEW fandom, right, who are suggesting, for an example, when looking at the viewership numbers, when looking at the ratings, when looking at the convention, when looking at the response to Rampage most likely being canceled, they're looking at all this and they're still trying to spin it into a positive thing. They'll say things like, for an example, with the convention, like I said, stylistically, it looks fantastic. It's going to have more of an ambiance, right? It's going to be more of a connection with the audience as far as the stuff that's occurring on television. All things that are correct. Let me say this one more time. It's not the fact that what you're suggesting at the moment is not correct. Yes, all those things are true, but the facts are the facts. Did they or did they not go from a bigger arena to a smaller arena? Yes or no? It's 666,000. Mind you, you can look at my playlist. I just made a video on this, like, I want to say, like maybe 5, maybe close to 6 months ago, when there was like a red alert. Remember, guys? There was a huge red alert. I had to make an emergency video when the ratings came out initially, because I think I made another video in regards to AEW, and I said I wasn't going to report on anything else or talk about, I hate saying the word report because I'm not a journalist. But then, like, immediately afterwards, when they gave us the viewership number, it was like 681,000, something along the lines of that. And everybody freaked out. Holy crap, this is insanely low. This is one of the lowest viewership numbers in AEW history. This is crazy. You remember that video I did? It has the ludicrous background and the as the theme, right? I think I used Saturday for that song, right? Ooh, ooh. Okay, sorry. But my point being is, though, that was the reaction to the 600,000 number. The reaction was, holy crap, red alert, they're doing bad. They're doing bad. And the viewership number this week was lower than that. But because it increased from the 523,000 number, which, by the way, notice how no one really freaked out over that. No one even freaked out. Remember, a little bit further back, even before the 681,000, actually, no, I think it was after the 681,000 number. That's when we got the 502,000 viewership number. Remember that? I think that was back in June or July. Remember how everybody freaked out over that too? Everybody freaked out over that. They're about to get 400,000 viewership number. That's the number. They're about to get 400,000 as far as the viewership is considered. And nothing happened that week. Nothing happened that night. Nothing happened in order to detract from a reasoning as to why people should have tuned in to Dynamite, and they didn't. And they had all the excuses in the world. Dave Meltzer was literally picking everything out of his pocket, his back pocket, his sock, everything to pull out in order to show that, hey, this is the reason as to why they're in the position that they're currently in right now, as to why they got that number. And then we got 523,000 last week, heading up against NXT on your night, and no one even batted an eye to it. It was only like, what, barely 20,000 more viewers than what we freaked out over about a couple of months ago this year, over the summer. They didn't even bat an eye to it. It's like they gradually move the goalposts underneath people's eyes, and then they try to use this as a reasoning as to why AEW is doing good at the moment. Let me repeat myself one more time. There was a time when we thought 800,000 was them dying. We reacted to that 502,000 viewership number. We reacted to that 681,000 viewership number, no different to when we reacted to the 800,000 number a few years ago. But they moved the goalposts so drastically that now when you react to a 600,000 number, it's not a big deal. That's more than half of what you peaked at when you first started. And it's crazy to think, because you know how this is gonna go, right? Like eventually, because this will happen inevitably, right? Especially if they keep going down in the direction that they're going down right now in regards to the booking, they're gonna hit 400,000. That's inevitable. They're gonna hit 400,000, and then they're gonna hit 502,000 on a given week, and then they're gonna be like, "Holy fuck, we rose." That's a great number. That's a great number. You know that's where it's gonna go. Nearly one third of your viewership number was achieved last week from where you peaked at originally, and people didn't even bat an eye. And then you rose to a number that people would have literally cracked open. We did it just a mere few months ago. We all reacted to this together. 681,000 viewership. That was the number that we reacted to. You rose to 666,000, and people are throwing a parade. It's insanity. It's pure, unadulterated insanity. And then you have Dave Meltzer who's saying things like, "Well, if they continue this number, sooner or later, that they're gonna get." Well, see, here's the thing, Dave. Here's the thing. One, that's a horrible number. You can spend it as much as you want, but in 3 years, you think they're gonna still be in the 600,000 range? Really? That's what you're thinking? That's what you think they're gonna do? You think they're gonna actually give another contract? Like, mind you, 3 years prior to all this, or I guess it would have been 4 years prior to all this, right? In 2020, I can't remember if it was 2020. I think it was 2020 when they got their first extension. They were in the millions. They were in the millions consistently. High 900,000, low millions. That's what they were doing consistently, right? Right? Maybe I wouldn't say 2020, but at least 2021 when they got away from NXT. Maybe that's probably a better framing. That was just 3 years ago, though. Look at what they're doing right now. You think they're going to be doing these numbers in 3 years? In 3 years, if they keep going the way that they're going right now, I think most people would probably look at 400,000 as like a peak number for them. And by that point, that's going to be nearly 1/4 of what they were doing. 25% of their original peak, damn near. This company's cooked. This company's cooked, and you have so many people that they just keep enabling this behavior. Your brands are clearly failing miserably. The attendance is drastically down from where it was originally. The viewership number is drastically down from where it was originally. These are things that we're trying to point out, that we're trying to highlight, and they keep gaslighting you and telling you that these are good things. Let's deflect from the original premise as to what actually makes the conclusion a positive and spin it and point to other exterior motives as to why these little small tidbits of things add up and why they matter more than the grand scheme of what is supposed to occur. See, I'm not a football head, but I'm familiar with it, obviously. Can you imagine if the whole goal to this, can you imagine someone being blown out? Let's say 56-8 was the score, right? And the team that got the 8, they're going to be celebrated more because, I don't know, they got more yards, right? They got more tackles. They accomplished more in regards to the metrics compared to the other team, but the other team blew them out by, 48 points? And you're supposed to look at that and take that, and you're supposed to say to yourself, yeah, the losing team did a better job than the winning team? Like, what? And hell, I'll go even further. Even within that realms, take that and then also combine it with the fact that, well, I mean, they did better last season in regards to the metrics. Now, mind you, in the metrics last season, yeah, they did a little bit better this season compared to last season, but they actually made it to the playoffs last season. This season, they didn't make it to the playoffs, but they did better metrically. It's pure unadulterated insanity. It's insanity. It's insanity how they keep spinning this. And they keep doing it over and over and over again. No matter how low they go, they always spin it into a positive. And they say why this is a good thing. And then when you point out as to why you sound insane and why that sounds incredibly ludicrous, that's when they come out with the ad hominems, right? They call you weirdos. They say that you're a tribalist. They say all these things. Why can't you just enjoy wrestling? Because they can't argue on the facts. They can't argue on the merits of what they're trying to present for you to have to, I don't know, look at it and say to yourself, it's perfectly fine. It's insanity. It's pure unadulterated insanity. It's like the same undercurrent that you see in politics when they say things like, oh, well, look at what's happening in the inner cities in regards to crime. It's going down. It is so drastically down compared to last year. And then you look at the numbers and it's like, okay, but the year before that, it was at record highs. If it's at record highs and it's going down dramatically, like, let's just say crime, let's just put it out this way. Let's just say 600,000 violent crimes overall, generalizing here, but 600,000 crimes at its peak happened in 2023. And then now it's at 550,000 in 2024. But in 2022, it was at like 80,000. That's not a good thing. It is still insanely fucking high compared to where it was in 2022. So why are you saying it dropped down drastically? Okay, but it dropped down drastically, but it's still super duper fucking high compared to where it was the year prior to that. That's the game that they want to play. Anything to make AEW look good. Because in the end of the day, say it with me, folks, it's not about the love of AEW. It's about the hatred of WWE. And whatever you can use in order to oppose the alternative, to make yourself feel special, it's going to be done. Because it doesn't matter in regards to what happens. And this goes for anything in life, right? It doesn't matter what happens. As long in today's society, as you are perceived as the underdog, whether good or whether bad, we need to get behind you and you need our help. Because the alternative is the person who always wins. The person who's always winning, they continue winning. And we can't have that. We need to get behind people who need our help. That's the undercurrent in regards to the behavior being done here. Never make any mistake and never, ever, ever, ever overlook that. It's all virtue in the end of the day. And in the case of Dave Meltzer, I mean, Buddy just obviously has more input in regards to what's going on in the company, and he can't help but get mad whenever his ideas don't really come to the surface. That's him. But everybody else, that's the reason why they cover it in the manner of how they cover it. Has nothing to do with the love of the sport. Has nothing to do with changing of the times. It's because you're coping. It's all a coping mechanism. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. The current standing of AEW is obviously troubling. But we look left and right in order to ignore the obvious, but there's only so much you can do, and there's so far you can go with ignoring the obvious, especially when it's directly in front of your face. As always, my name is Devontae, aka Millennial Smart, and I'll be catching you guys later. Deuces and a peace. Ice.